This is about the CornCrib. I don't travel much, but when my wife and I decide to go somewhere, a big factor in our choice of destination is that there are no crowds. We prefer peace and quiet. So festivals and concerts are out. You won't find us at any of the Disneylands or amusement parks or Hilton Head or Yellowstone during the peak season. My wife does most of the planning. Okay, she does it all. And in our last little getaway, she scored a real coup. I believe she somehow was able to find what I thought was a mythic location, namely the middle of nowhere. South of Lexington, Kentucky, we continued to drive in a southerly direction. We were on an interstate with lots of traffic, especially the rumbling big rigs, yet I couldn't help but notice that we were surrounded by green. Green, green, and green. There were few exits, no cities, no towns, no fast food signs or gas stations. Everywhere, on both sides, as far as I could see, there were trees, forests, covering hills and hills that wanted to be mountains. Some of this was official, the Daniel Boone National Forest, but the rest of the land, unnamed, was forest too. There was almost no cleared property, no fields, no barns, no houses. As we reached the Tennessee border, everything but the road we were on was forest, as if the American expansion west had never occurred, and Daniel Boone was in there somewhere searching for the Cumberland Gap. Davy Crockett was in there too, killing him a bar. We'd estimated that our travel time would be 3 or 4 hours, so when we arrived in Oneida, Tennessee, at about 3.5 hours, we figured we'd been right because the map told us we were only 20 miles away from where we wanted to be. Then we got lost, finally bumbling onto the right road. The road cutting through the big South Fork Park was hilly and windy and windy as a roller coaster ride. It was hard to manage a speed of 30 miles an hour, and clearly we were now deep into the forest, all perspective gone. Then we had to turn off onto a gravel road that cut our speed in half, down to 15 miles an hour. That led to a dirt path that was washed out in places where the water had cut deep holes. By this time we were making 8 miles an hour, tops, and the dirt road was 4 miles long. It was a two-way road, I might add, as wide as one car. And of course it was piercing through nothing but dense forest. Following sparse directions, we parked the dust-covered car, walked a mile in the wrong direction, retraced our steps, and found the mile-long trail to our final destination. A sign at the head of the trail noted that it was steep, difficult, and subject to erosion and snakes. It was full of switchbacks, a ladder, and a rope bridge. It wound down all the way, and all I could think was how in the hell I would ever get back up it in the morning. The place was rustic for sure. A former hunting camp, it consisted of a lodge, a non-functional blacksmith quarters, a building near the lodge where the cooking was done, the bathrooms and showers, a big barn where wood was cut and stacked and tools were stored, and 3 cabins. The smallest of these, the CornCrib, was ours. All were built of massive timbers, chinked with cement, great wide planks for the roof, and a knotty pine floor, beautiful in its way. No electricity or water. The Shakers would have approved of this place. Aside from the property manager, Greg, and his dog, Bugger, and 2 cats, we were the only ones there. We sat on stones in the gurgling creek with our feet in the cool water. Then we sat in crumbling Adirondack chairs and listened to the water. Greg cooked our dinner, served it to us in the lodge on lovely china with fresh flowers and 3 kerosene lamps, absolutely charming. At night the sky was filled with thousands of stars, a sight I had not seen in years. The silence was penetrating. Greg told us to keep a watch out for bears, and after 6 years on the job, he said he was starting to worry about burnout. Breakfast was served in the lodge, again with the flowers and lamps. Orange juice in a ball jar, pancakes, grits, cheesy eggs, and sausage with maple syrup. Wonderful. Back on the trail again, but not as bad as we thought. Got lost again, but made it home by late afternoon. Much more than we expected, and in many ways, a hideaway, a retreat out there tucked away in the middle of nowhere, and a great little adventure.